Welcome back to Manufacturing Unscripted. This is part one of a two-part series reviewing the Automate trade show in June of 2026. I'm talking with John Kraus, sales manager at Promus Incorporated, and reviewing some of our thoughts as well as some of the exhibitors at the booth. We hope you enjoy.
This podcast is sponsored by Promus Incorporated, the leading provider of fully electric servo presses for manufacturing. Promus provides global support for pressing and motion control applications in multiple industries. With precise positioning and in-process force monitoring, your company will begin to see ROI on day one. Call 810-229-9334 or email sales@promusinc.com to speak with an expert engineer about your application today.
Welcome back to Manufacturing Unscripted. I'm your host, Peter Parsons, and today I'm joined with John Kraus once again, sales manager at Promus Incorporated.
Hello, Peter. How you doing?
John? It's good.
Thanks
Good to
for
have you
having-
back on the show.
It's great to be here.
So once again, we're going to be talking about trade shows, and today we're going to be talking about the Automate trade show.
Yes, 2026. I thought it was quite a show. Before we get into the trade show, let's talk specifics for this year. Let's talk a little bit history around Automate. So I did a little research. So supposedly, Automate's been going on since 1976.
Wow.
I did not realize that. It's put on by an organization called A3. They host this. It's been in Detroit. It's been in Chicago. Next year, it's actually going to be in
Las Vegas.
Yes. Interesting.
Yeah.
We'll see what kind of attendance we get in Las Vegas.
Yeah. And we've been attending for a couple of years now. You've probably been attending longer than I have, but each year it just seems to get bigger and bigger and just definitely kind of outgrowing its surroundings.
Yeah. So this year they had over 50,000 attendees and 1,200 booths.
Yeah.
I don't know how an attendee can make it to 1,200 booths. Seems a little overwhelming, but it's kind of cool to talk about, I guess.
Yeah, definitely something that I'd been hearing from people is just, they wanted to go and see everything. They wanted to see every booth. And it was a 4-day show. And even with 4 whole days, they said that they didn't even have enough time to see everything.
Yeah, so while we were there, it felt like the place to be. Felt like there was a lot of buzz around it. It was an exciting year. There was robots walking around. It was just, if you were in manufacturing, automation, technology, robots, you were there.
Yeah. Yeah, and with automation too, it's the Automate show, automation, but really I think there was a focus on robotics, and I think typically that's what Automate really highlights year after
Which is
year.
interesting because when you think of Promus, right, you think of presses, so which is not robots. So why is a company like Promus at Automate? The reason is our customer who purchases presses also purchases robots. So there's some cross-pollination there.
Yeah. And one thing too is there's a lot of collaboration, and I think that's something that I was able to see with a lot of these different booths is a lot of companies, either integrators or just companies kind of partnering together, which there were a couple of partnerships that Promus had. Would you be able to talk about those?
Yeah, so we had a couple of our systems, one in the Edgewater Automation booth, another one where we've partnered with the Ohio State University Ames Lab, which was pretty cool, and I think we'll talk about that later. But yeah, you walk around and you could see Promus in more than just our booth.
Yeah, and really just highlighting not only kind of the reason why Promus would be at a trade show, but also kind of highlighting the collaboration and the integration. I mean, with the way factories are set up now, everything is so compact, so dense. You don't have the press station, and then over there you have the torque station. Everything is kind of crammed together and baked into one line. Mm-hmm. So you need to be able to show off that, capability. Mm-hmm. And the fact that you can have, these robot arms putting parts in place underneath the press, and then actuators come in and everywhere, and just to be able to see all of that all at once, especially in some of these booths where, like the Edgewater booth, where it was, I think, 10 or 12 different companies all kind of merged together into one station.
I think people take for granted really what it takes in manufacturing to assemble a final product. Right? You think of Promus, and we're just one small piece of a big assembly line with a ton of technology on that, right? It's pretty hard to fathom sometimes.
Yeah, and it's interesting just to kind of break a system apart or break a line apart into all its individual pieces. And you might be able to have the understanding of each of those, but once all of those merge together, there's so many extra considerations and challenges, which I'm sure that's, for a lot of controls engineers out there, that's their entire job. That's, what keeps the lights on for them is this integration and connectivity.
And then you take the AI boom that's happening. What do you do with that? Right?
Yeah.
What do you do with these humanoid robots walking around? How does that integrate into these assembly line automation projects that we're talking about? It gets overwhelming really fast, which is why you need to go to a trade show to talk to the experts that know the technology, right? Because our customers aren't as versed as, a specialized company is going to be. And that's really why it's important to go to a show like Automate.
Yeah, it seemed too that, that was something that was probably on a lot of people's minds where, you're attending the show, there's certain exhibitors you might want to see, but, kind of in the back of your mind, you might be thinking, with all these advancements in technology, what do we have to show for it? How can the AI boom, everyone's got a little bit different idea in their head of what exactly AI can do, what it can be used for, how it can be integrated. But to see people that have taken that technology and, applied it, put it in factories already, or have been working with people to kind of adapt the technology, put it in a more, packageable version so that you can show someone, this is exactly what you can do with this technology.
Yeah, there's a couple reasons why someone might attend a show like that, right? Maybe you have a specific need that you're trying to fulfill, right? That's pretty common. I need to, I have a problem in my facility and I have to solve it. I'm going to go to a trade show to find the answer. Very common. There's also the realm in which, hello, employee, I want you to go to this show and see what's new in the world, right? Come back with what you found and give us recommendations. There was a lot of people like that trying to understand AI, understand humanoid robots, understand all this new technology, just trying to get a grasp on what is going on in the world right now.
Yeah, just to, take things that you might be reading in news articles or blogs or videos you see online and just kind of synthesize that and kind of go right to the source.
Yeah.
These are the experts.
Yeah. Yeah. So any listeners that didn't go to the Automate show, I'd highly recommend in the future. I think there's always budget at companies to go and look at new technology. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, even if you're just going there to look at the companies, like you mentioned, just to see what's out there, there's so much that it's difficult to see it all.
Yeah.
There's always something new. Having gone there for multiple years, there's, the kind of same companies that you always see year after year, but they always seem to have something new, something that, isn't just kind of their standard offering that's showing how these companies are kind of adapting and changing. And, it's kind of proving why should you work with these companies, but also, it's kind of an opportunity for the company themselves to establish themselves and to kind of put their best foot forward and present who they are as a company.
Yeah. So in our booth this year, we had our mascot up on a high pedestal. You want to talk a little about our mascot up top?
Yeah. So the mascot being Yoda from Star Wars.
Yeah, you bet. That drew quite an attention in our booth. We bring him most every year, I think. He has a lanyard around him with a little sign. Sign says,
"Control the Force. You must."
You must. There you go. Yeah, there you go. Because Promus controls the Force, right? And I always think that's fun. All the booths, they have little things like that to draw people, right? The people next to us had the octopuses around and stuff, just like all over the place. And our strategy is to put Yoda. Everybody comes in and takes a picture with Yoda.
Yeah. And it's interesting, too, that level of, you can have an incredibly interesting technology. You can have something that would revolutionize any plant it's integrated into. but you need people to walk in your booth. You need to get people interested in it.
You do.
Some
You do.
booths, they might have just had, a giant wall of text or, kind of relying on like name recognition alone. But I mean, sometimes it's the little tiny giveaway that just gets people to walk into the booth and just to say, okay, well, what's this all about?
Yeah, because there's people that know Promus in the industry, but there's also people that don't know Promus, but need Promus. And how do you draw them? How do you get their attention? How do you talk to them, right? That's one of the strategies.
Yeah. And I think that's something too that we've seen is, when someone's kind of looking at the booth and they're kind of thinking in their head, like, oh, I know what presses are. I'm familiar with these. But sometimes it just takes that extra couple seconds to realize, oh, this falls very closely in line to a project that I'm working on, or this might be useful for this other department for a challenge that I've heard they need fixed. Just to be able to kind of jog the mind, because you might go to the trade show with 10 things on your list that you want to get checked off, but secretly there's another 100 kind of floating around in the back of different challenges, different projects, different needs that you have as a company.
Yeah. One of the pointers that I give to anyone going to an Automate show or a show similar to that, do your homework ahead of time. Look at the floor plan, make a plan for who you're going to visit. If you go in cold and you go in just, I'm going to go check out everything, it will be too overwhelming for you to have good use of your time. So just something to note.
Yeah, and for pretty much every trade show, they will post a full list of the exhibitors, speakers, events, everything like that online.
Right on
beforehand.
the website. And you can search through it. It's usually an interactive map of sorts. So you can like walk around it kind of and sort and zoom in, zoom out. I think they're kind of fun.
Yeah, and it's definitely easy to get lost in these places.
Yeah.
I mean, I couldn't tell you the square footage, but it's football fields upon football fields of just, like you mentioned, over 1,200 exhibitors. And these booths can be anywhere from like 10 feet to 10 feet to, some of them are like 50 by 50 feet.
Right.
For some of the larger companies.
Yeah, exactly. I think did you guys have some videos from the show?
We did, in fact.
Oh, wow. How did that go?
Oh, it was good. We had an opportunity to kind of walk around the show on behalf of Manufacturing Unscripted, talking to a couple different companies just to get a good idea of, how the show's been going for them, as well as kind of what they are offering, kind of what they're showing off at the show. So we got a couple of those. We kind of compiled them together, and we actually got them on the screen up there, and we're going to play them on the screen for all our listeners too. But
interesting.
Yeah, why don't we take a look and
cool. I haven't seen these videos yet. This will be the first time I'm seeing them, so we'll see what kind of responses we get
for sure
from me.
Hi, I'm Peter with Manufacturing Unscripted here at the Automate show in Chicago, Illinois. And here I'm talking with Steve. How's it going, Steve?
It's going really good.
How are you enjoying the show so far?
It's great. It's really big. It's expanded. A lot of machine vision, robotics, all kinds of activity, and expansion of the education pavilion, which is cool to see. So it's great.
Yeah, tell me what you're showing off here today and who you're representing.
Yeah, so I represent two centers within the College of Engineering at Ohio State University, a Simulation Center, Sim Center, and CDME, Center for Design and Manufacturing Excellence. And particularly, the division I head up is called AIMS, Artificially Intelligent Manufacturing Systems. And what we are showing off is one of the projects we are doing for basically incremental forging. Right now we're showing it on plasticine, I'll call it Play-Doh sometimes, but we're showing it as something we can bring to the show that isn't hot metal, but we actually do have a couple of our parts in here. But really what we're studying is how to make parts with open die forging to replace legacy parts, a lot for DoD, DOW. It's really exciting stuff.
Yeah, and definitely I think this might be something a lot of people don't really realize, at least in terms of the developments being done at that university level.
Yeah. So we're studying everything. We actually, I gave my students, they're over here off camera, a challenge when we decided we were going to get the booth. So that's another shout out to Yaskawa Motoman, who sponsored our booth here. And I said, well, we need to bring a robot. What are we going to do? We actually reached out to ProMess, so thank you. We had the little press here. We said, hey, how awesome would it be to show this big project that we're about to kick off for open die forging. So we pulled this little system together to illustrate the things that we're doing to make it real. So we aren't just talking to a screen, showing videos of the things that we do in the lab. So it's really awesome. Really shout out to a couple of our students that like helped really pull this together. And it's a really good, just discussion piece for us at the show to talk about the things we do.
Yeah, and especially being able to bring those students to a trade show like this, just to be able to see all that technology, all the innovation, and just get a better idea of, what do we have in the industry and what's there to offer, at least in terms of careers, knowledge, education, anything like that.
Yeah, bringing the students is key. I have a core memory when I was in welding engineering at Ohio State. We got to go to what was the weld show, FabTech, and getting to see everything, but also getting to enjoy the cities that we got to see when we did it. So I wanted to give that back to our student population here. So we got, 10 or more students here. I didn't count them all, but they're getting to work the booth, learn how to talk to customers, tell them what we do. They get to walk the show. They get to see Chicago, go to the Bean, and it's really awesome.
Yeah. Do you have any recommendations for students or just anyone attending the show on just kind of what to look for, what to kind of keep an eye out for?
Oh, I mean, yeah, I guess I'm kind of a fly by the seat kind of guy. So I would say get here get early so you can get walking around. It's a big show floor, and just be inquisitive. I like to. Yeah, I've been surprised. I'll stop at a couple booths, not knowing what people do, and talk to them and learn a whole new avenue of things that might be future research opportunities for us.
Yeah, and I noticed too you've got the speaker tag on your name tag there. Yeah. So you're going to be part of a panel later today.
Yeah, panel here just in 11:15. It's ARM Institute is moderating a panel. I'll be with Harry Pearson, and we're discussing basically how to take AI and automation, how do we bring that from basically research to the shop floor. So if you have time, come listen. Another unscripted panel. Hopefully I'll represent OSU well, and it'll be great.
For anyone that's not able to attend that, can you give us like a little snippet of kind of what might be discussed there? Yeah,
we're going to have an industry, a government, and academic perspective. Hosted by ARM, so the ARM Institute. Ohio State's been part of several programs through ARM projects, and we basically are usually the academic partner who is like kind of the lower TRL, helping move things to a higher TRL, talking through all how does that work? How do you partner? What are the things to look out for? And then getting into things like what's AI? AI is everywhere. What are the things to look for from AI? What's my perspective on AI? What's Harry's? What's industry's perspective? Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you talking with me here today.
Great.
Hope you enjoy the show, and
thanks.
Best of luck on your panel.
All right, appreciate it.
Nice video, Peter.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I can only be as good as my interviewer, so you'll have to thank Steve for that one.
You bet. Good job, Steve. Yeah, a couple things to note. He talked about speaking.
Yeah.
Speaking engagements. We didn't talk about that earlier.
Yeah, so I think that's an aspect that a lot of people don't think about as much when they think about trade shows, is there's a lot of kind of live events aside from just the exhibitor booths. Mm-hmm. So at least at the Automate conference, pretty much constantly there were different panels, different talks. There was an area within the show floor. It was called the Automate Theater.
Okay.
Where they had a stage where they would have different guests come on, give either speeches, presentations, anything like that.
On a particular topic, right?
Yep, on a wide range of topics. Kind of similar to how they'll post the exhibitor list, they also post the speaker list.
Oh, well ahead of time.
Well ahead of time. So you'll be able to kind of look online and just see, if there's a specific talk you're interested in.
Yeah.
So like if you're interested in AI, manufacturing, integration.
So typically those passes cost money. So something you want to look at, ahead of the show is you might need a special type of ticket to get into some of those training seminars, we'll call them, or whatever, the speaking engagements. But the middle ones, like you were talking about, I think those ones were free.
Yeah, and I think the paid ones are usually a little more, maybe more like classroom setting, kind of like it's a little more, here's how we can maybe train you or show you how to use this within your company
Yeah.
or a way to integrate different technologies.
Still worth doing, though, I think. Still worth doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So looking specifically at the video, so Steve's part of Ames Lab,
Yeah.
which is part of the Ohio State University. Just to be very clear, we are from Michigan. We do talk to people in Ohio. That's okay.
Yeah.
Just to be very clear to the audience there.
It's just a sign of the collaborative spirit that can overcome the state rivalry.
Collaboration. We talked about this earlier, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, this was a collaboration between Ohio State and Promus, where one of the Promus presses was kind of lent to the Ames Lab to be able to put together this demonstration.
Yeah. I actually visited this booth, and I was thoroughly impressed by the students. They were highly intelligent. I couldn't believe the pitch that they gave me explaining what this was doing, how it was doing, and why. They were really intelligent kids.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I had the opportunity kind of while I was talking to Steve to also kind of talk to some of the students and just to get an idea of, because sometimes you might assume if there's a university project that it's either kind of very strongly managed by the faculty or, they're doing most of the legwork and the students kind of come in and fill the gaps.
Mm-hmm.
But the students I talked to, they had been doing the programming on the Promus press. They had done the work on the robot itself.
Mm-hmm.
Aside from like signing the paperwork and paying for the items themselves, it was pretty much completely student created, student developed. And it was very interesting to see that, because I think a lot of people might not have that assumption when they see that a university is presenting some object or presentation.
Right. That's actually a big emphasis at Promus is investing in the future, the students, the people that aren't in the workforce right now. We actually met Ohio State a couple of years ago. They approached us and we're like, we'd love to give you a press. So just a little shout out, if there's any universities out there, like that is absolutely part of our DNA. Investing in the future people that will be, operating this world.
Yeah, and it's an interesting position to be in too of, I don't think it's hyperbole to say, we make a premium Promus product, and to be able to give that level of accuracy, precision, that, sophistication within the technology to these people that are, they're learning and they're developing, to be able to get that at that early stage. We had talked to a couple people on various other podcasts talking about, I believe it was Mach 1 Academy, where they were talking about they have a bunch of like old equipment that they're able to train students on. And, that's really helpful for people that are going in, directly into like those kind of controls positions to be able to kind of learn on the technology, to develop, what's already out there. But to be able to do that with something that's a little, it's newer, it's kind of the more recent. It's what's being purchased now rather than, what was purchased 20 years ago.
Yeah, a little sneak peek. A demo like this might be seen in a Promus booth very soon.
Oh.
So a little sneak peek for the audience there.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think one thing I wanted to mention too is this was the Ohio State University booth. There were actually probably about 10 other booths immediately surrounding that were all colleges and universities.
I saw that. And there was actually a University of Michigan one
so
that didn't have a Promus.
Yeah. Yeah, despite being, 20 minutes away from us.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the University of Michigan, there were a bunch of Chicago universities, just being close to the trade show, I imagine. But there were some other ones. I think the University of Nebraska was there. So it was very interesting to see the really strong student presence at the trade show as well.
Yeah, very common in trade shows like this to have a student presence like this, which is really important. Something to not forget about.
Yeah, which definitely, they're kind of pushed into their own little area. They group all the colleges together. But, that's not to say that if you are, a company that's not looking for new employees or looking for interns, that it's not worth it to go look at these booths. This is something where, they were showing off open nest forging.
Right.
Which isn't necessarily something that's like, only Ohio State University does this, but it's a technology I think a lot of people would be unfamiliar with. So, yeah, it's definitely interesting to see that student presence, and also, like Steve was mentioning, to be able to give students that experience too. Like you mentioned, investing in, the future, you're able to give people a lot better hands-on idea, that first-person perspective of what manufacturing is.
Yeah. I think behind the scenes, it's even more interesting. So, you got a Promus there. There's I think it's Yaskawa robot, whatever it is. The software, the platform that does this was all developed and generated by Ohio State University. This is all unique IP that they developed as students. That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. So very exciting.
Yeah, and it's not necessarily something that was just put together to be a student project. It's something that students developed it, and it can now be sold to companies and put into manufacturing lines. So just because someone is a student doesn't mean they can't have an impact on the manufacturing field as well.
Oh yeah, for sure. Okay, well, thanks for the video, Peter.
Yeah, no
Should we hop into the next one?
Sure thing. Let's
You
take a look
bet.
at what we have next.
We're at the Automate trade show in Chicago, Illinois, and I'm here with Seth from Edgewater Automation. How's it going, Seth?
Going well.
How are you enjoying the show so far?
Great show so far.
Could you tell me a little bit more about Edgewater Automation and what you guys do?
So Edgewater is a systems builder. We design and build custom automation equipment, and we have locations in Michigan and South Carolina, and about 250 people on staff. And we're celebrating our 25th anniversary this year.
Oh, congratulations.
Thanks.
So what kind of systems do you guys typically work in?
So usually it's assembly systems, smaller part, high speed, and we are across pretty much all industry verticals.
Yeah. Could you tell me a little bit more about this machine that we have behind us?
So this system that we put together for this show is assembling a bottle opener. So we merged some technologies together to kind of show off some of the things that we integrate on a lot of our machines. The whole machine is built on the base of a SuperTrack, so that's some high-speed motion conveyance. And we integrated quite a few FANUC robots that are kind of moving the product around. And we have a poker chip that we press into each of the bottle openers, and that's using the ProMess press. And then we have a laser marker, put in our logo on it. And then we also have Unit X for the vision inspection, showing off that capability. And then bring that around, and we have a glue dot dispenser. So it's putting the glue dot onto the bottle opener, and then takes that and then takes a roll ticket. And we have a cutter from ASCO cutting the roll tickets and putting the drink ticket for the happy hour onto the bottle opener. And then ultimately the cobot takes the bottle opener, final assembly, and then hands it off to the attendee. So it's kind of a full showcase of all the things that we integrate together on some of our equipment.
Yeah, it's really, oh, sorry.
And you get a good giveaway at the end, so.
Yeah, that's always nice to get the giveaways at the trade shows. But it's also really nice just to see all these different components from all these different companies kind of integrated into a single solution.
Right.
So I think that's one of the great things about these trade shows is really finding ways to kind of take all the different companies, all the different technologies, and implement them together. It's not just one company per station. It's really integrating those together.
It's true. It's like all the strengths of all these different companies all together in one.
Exactly.
So it's really cool collaboration.
Yeah. Is there anything that you've seen at the show already that you're kind of excited about, or maybe some new technologies you've seen?
So what I'm seeing a lot is there's a lot of AI on the floor now, and there's a lot of more Industry 4.0 stuff actually being used. So it's kind of cool to see that all happening for real now. So that's coming in pretty strong. Lots of humanoid robots walking around, so that's fun. So it's just kind of cool to see more technology than ever before. So and to see it actually in practice on the floor.
Yeah, and not only being able to see the technology, but being able to talk and discuss with the engineers. So not only can you kind of learn about the systems, but you can even learn specifics to a certain application or a certain idea, or how to take that technology and integrate it along with other systems.
Yeah, totally.
All right, well, I appreciate you talking with me here today, Seth. Enjoy the show.
Okay. Nice interview, Peter.
Thank you once again.
That was Edgewater.
Yep, Seth with Edgewater.
Yes, Seth, that's right.
Yep, showing us kind of what they're able to do with their integration. So Edgewater Automation being an integrator, kind of taking all those different companies and, you know, smashing all of those products together to create a unique solution.
Yeah, a turnkey solution that's then an Edgewater product, right? They had tons of stuff. They had robots, presses, conveyors, label cutters, all kinds of things.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if you were able to see it, and for people that are listening instead of viewing, at one point they showed a conveyor system that would move a part around a track. It would have a robot gripper to move parts in place, press things together. But one of the things that also was visible is there was a screen that showed a fully digital version of the station.
Okay.
So not only do they, you know, do the end product of kind of putting this system together, but they actually do a lot of the work of, you know, creating the initial design and kind of taking the specifications, taking the restrictions, and, you know, presenting a digital version. Which that digital version was running
digital twin
cycles. Yeah, the digital twin.
Yeah, which is a big name in the industry anymore, digital twin. So I was thinking about Edgewater. So they're located in West Michigan. Mm-hmm. They're also located in the Carolinas down there on the coast. They're both on the edge of water.
Yeah.
That's kind of interesting. I just thought of that.
I didn't even think of that. But yeah, right next to that Great Lake, at least in the Michigan location.
Yeah. So
I suppose that's where they get their name from. But
yeah, I think they're. I might have messed up now. Are they?
At least the Michigan location, it's right off.
Maybe they're California. This is terrible.
But definitely interesting to see, you know, what they're able to do. I mean, I've been to their facility a few different times for a few different reasons, but definitely with those integrator locations, you're able to see, you know, 10 different projects that are all seemingly unrelated. You know, one might be pressing something for an automotive company, some might be a medical company, and just to kind of see all those different, you know, stations being put together. Mm-hmm. I mean, the engineers at Edgewater, they must be, you know, every day kind of the whiplash between different stations they're putting together because each one is so unique.
Yeah. I did a little Google search just to cross-check, make sure I didn't tell the audience anything incorrect. They have a South Carolina location, West Michigan location, and California location.
All three
on the edge of water.
On the edge of water.
Weird. I don't know.
I suppose that's a restriction for any new facility they open.
Be. Wonder if they go by lakes. Wonder if that would work.
Yeah. I mean, it's water.
It's water. There you go. But yeah, I mean, machine integration, automation. Edgewater is one of the premium names in the industry. I thought they did a really good job at showing their capability. Putting the Promus in there, the Fanuc robots, you know, just kind of showing what they can do. Because I would think in that space, it's hard to differentiate yourself.
Yeah.
Right? There's a lot of automation companies.
Yeah. And I think with integrators, too, a lot of time what you might have to fall back onto is just kind of a sense of, you know, well, this is what we've done in the past. And we've done stations similar to this, or, you know, we've used these technologies before. So that's why I think it's interesting to be able to have, you know, that kind of demo station where, you know, it's nobody's going to, or at least I would assume people aren't going to buy that exact station just to make bottle openers.
Right.
But you can take that bottle opener and you can replace it in your mind with my part, whether it's a transmission or a bearing or a gear or whatever.
Whatever it is, a little medical device. I mean, you name it, right? A lot of things in this world need automation. Almost all of them.
Yeah.
So, nice video, Peter. I thought it showed really well. And a little plug out there. If there's any other, you know, automation companies, we are more than welcome to put a Promus in there. So please reach out to us. Definitely something that we'd be open to.
Yeah. And I think this was, I think I mentioned before, but there were 10 to 12 different companies, big sticker on the side, you know, saying, you know, this Edgewater demo is featuring these companies. And I think that kind of collaborative spirit, just really almost every booth. There were so many different, there were a lot of robotics companies out there, but there were a lot of robot arms in companies that didn't necessarily sell robot arms.
Right.
But it was more so a way to kind of show off how your system could be adapted or integrated. And I think that's something that definitely a lot of companies, it's not just, we're not just a standalone system. We're not just something that you purchase and that's all you need. It's kind of following that idea of you might have existing technology that you need to integrate the new technology with, or I want my technology to be adaptable and versatile for the future if I need to make changes or adjustments or anything like that.
Yeah, so we're going to come back with part 2. Is that what I understand?
Yes. Yeah, there was so much to cover at the trade show. We actually split this episode up into 2 parts. So the next episode we have, it's going to be you and I once again talking about Automate and going into some of the other companies that we saw and talked to, as well as talking about some of the other ideas with trade shows, kind of how people talk about their company, how people represent themselves. So that'll be exciting to hear.
Okay, I'll look forward to it. Thanks for having me. I think the conversations that you get to have with people at trade shows, they are so fun and exciting. And, as you progress through your time at trade shows, you see the same people year over year, and you just develop these unique relationships. It's nice to look at the videos and reflect on it. So thanks for having me.
Yeah, and one thing I think we can kind of leave off today on is, like we mentioned, it's almost impossible to see everything. And it's even more impossible to talk to everyone. It's one thing just to make the mad dash around, this giant facility and see all the booths, but to be able to go to each and every booth just to have those conversations, even if you're not going to buy what they're selling, just to talk to people that are experts in their industry, that, they are at the forefront of manufacturing.
Yeah. Free information. Free knowledge.
Yeah. Collaborative spirit.
There you go. All right. Thanks, Peter.
Yep. Thanks, John. And thanks all of you listeners out there for tuning in week after week. Until next time, we'll see you then.
This podcast is brought to you by Promise Incorporated. Hosted by Peter Parsons, produced by Lauren Rawl, and mixed and edited by Ben Parsons. If you have any questions or would like to appear on the podcast, please reach out to podcast@promiseinc.com. Thanks for listening.